Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Hashir. I am the student of Jan School, Islamabad, F8 KP at foundation level. So here, this is my activity on the topic of air. So let's start.
Absolutely. I'm ready to help. What kind of angle are you thinking for your video? Like, are you focusing on air as a physical element, or are you exploring things like air in language, culture, or maybe something else?
What is air and why is it essential for life?
That's a great starting point. You could begin by talking about what air is, basically a mixture of gases like oxygen, nitrogen, and carbon dioxide, and then dive into why it's crucial for both humans and all life. You could also touch on how air connects us, like it moves across borders, it affects weather, and it even plays a big role in sound. Does that align with your vision?
What are the main gases found in air?
Yeah, so the main gases in air are nitrogen, which makes up about 78%, oxygen around 21%, and then you have small amounts of argon, carbon dioxide, and a few other trace gases. It's a pretty balanced mix that makes life possible.
How does air help humans survive?
So, air is vital because it provides the oxygen we need to breathe. When we inhale, oxygen enters our lungs, gets transferred into our bloodstream, and helps fuel every cell in our body. Without air, we just wouldn't survive. It's really that fundamental.
Why cannot we see air?
Good question. So we can't see air because it's made up of gases that are completely transparent to human eyes. The molecules are just too small and spaced out, so even though air is all around us, it doesn't reflect or absorb visible light in a way that we can detect.
How do we know air exists if it is invisible?
Yeah, exactly. We know air exists because we can feel it, like when the wind blows or we see leaves moving. Plus, we can measure it scientifically. Things like air pressure or the fact that we need oxygen to survive all give it away. So even though we can't see it, we have plenty of proof it's there.
How does air help plants grow?
That's a great point. So plants rely on carbon dioxide from the air for photosynthesis. They take in CO2 along with sunlight and water, and they produce oxygen and energy rich sugars. So air is literally part of their food production process.
What role does oxygen play in our bodies?
Oxygen is absolutely essential for our bodies. Once we breathe it in, it travels through our bloodstream and helps our cells produce energy in a process called cellular respiration. Without oxygen, our organs can't function. So basically, every part of us depends on it.
How do animals depend on air?
Yeah, animals depend on air in much the same way we do. They breathe oxygen to fuel their cells, and even though different animals have different adaptations, like gills in fish or lungs in mammals, they all need some form of air to survive.
What what is the connection between air and breathing?
So the connection is pretty direct. Breathing is how we take in air. Specifically, we inhale oxygen from the air and we exhale carbon dioxide. So every breath keeps that oxygen flowing into our bodies and carbon dioxide moving out.
How does air travel around the earth?
So air moves around the Earth through what we call wind and atmospheric circulation. The sun heats the Earth's surface unevenly, causing warm air to rise and cooler air to sink. This sets up global patterns like trade winds, jet streams, and ocean breezes. So air really circulates all over the planet.
Why is clean air important for health?
Clean air is crucial because it means fewer pollutants and toxins. When we breathe clean air, our lungs don't have to work as hard, and we reduce the risk of respiratory diseases, heart problems, and even things like asthma. So clean air is really a foundation for overall health.
What causes air pollution?
Yeah, so air pollution comes from a bunch of sources. Things like car emissions, industrial factories, burning fossil fuels, even things like agriculture or wildfires. All of that releases harmful particles or gases into the air, which then affects our health and the environment.
How does polluted air affect people?
So, polluted air can really impact people in a lot of ways. It can irritate your lungs, leading to asthma or bronchitis, and long term exposure is linked to heart disease, lung cancer, even developmental issues in kids. So, it's really a big public health issue.
What can communities do to improve air quality?
Yeah, absolutely. Communities can take a bunch of steps, like promoting public transport, planting trees to improve green spaces, and pushing for clean energy sources like wind or solar. By working together, they can really cut down on pollution and create healthier environments for everyone.
How does air pollution affect wildlife?
Yeah, it affects wildlife a lot. Polluted air can harm animals by damaging their lungs or reducing their food sources. It can even alter habitats, like, for example, acid rain from air pollution can affect lakes and forests. So it really disrupts ecosystems all across the board.
What are greenhouse gases?
Yeah, absolutely. So indoor air can be just as important. Things like dust, mold, cooking fumes, or even chemicals from cleaning products can pollute the air inside homes. Good ventilation and air purifiers can really help keep indoor air clean.
How does air influence climate change?
Yeah, so air pollution is a big driver of climate change. For example, greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide and methane trap heat in the atmosphere, warming the planet. So by reducing air pollution, we can slow down global warming and keep the climate more stable.
How can individual help keep the air clean?
That's a great question. Individuals can make a big difference. Things like using public transport, reducing energy consumption at home, avoiding single use plastics, or even planting trees. Every small action adds up, and together we can really improve air quality.
How did early humans understand air?
Yeah, that's really interesting. Early humans didn't have a scientific framework, but they often associated air with life or spirit. They noticed wind, weather patterns, and they saw that without air, fire or breathing stopped. So it was kind of a spiritual and intuitive concept for them before we fully understood it scientifically.
What discoveries have scientists made about air?
Yeah, so scientists have made a lot of discoveries, from identifying the key gases in the air to understanding how oxygen is carried in our blood to uncovering how pollutants interact with the atmosphere. Plus, advances in technology have let us measure air quality and track global circulation in really precise ways.
How does air pressure work?
Yeah, so air pressure is basically the weight of the air pressing down on us. It changes with altitude, so at higher elevations, air pressure is lower. Weather systems also shift it, like low pressure can bring storms, while high pressure often means clear skies.
Why do airplanes need air to fly?
Ah, good one. So airplanes need airflow over their wings to generate lift. Basically, the movement of air creates a pressure difference that keeps them in the air. Engines also rely on air, whether for combustion or just to provide the thrust they need to keep flying.
How does air help birds stay in the sky?
Ah, great question. So birds stay in the sky thanks to a combination of lift and wing shape. As they flap their wings, air moves faster over the top, creating lower pressure. Plus, their lightweight bodies and strong muscles help them glide effortlessly.
What happens when there is very little air?
Yeah, so when there's very little air, like at high altitudes, there's less oxygen available. That can make breathing really difficult for both people and animals. So you feel shortness of breath, fatigue, and in extreme cases, it can even cause altitude sickness or hypoxia.
How do astronauts survive in space without air?
Yeah, so astronauts survive in space with the help of specially controlled environments. They have pressurized spacecraft with oxygen tanks and air filtration systems. So even though space is a vacuum, they bring their own air and keep it circulating inside the capsule.
What is atmosphere?
Ah, so the stratosphere is a layer of Earth's atmosphere above the troposphere. It starts roughly 10 to 15 kilometers up and extends up to about 50 kilometers. It's where the ozone layer sits, and the air gets in much thinner and colder as you go up.
How does the atmosphere protect Earth?
Yeah, the atmosphere is like a protective shield. It absorbs and scatters harmful UV radiation from the sun, and it also burns up meteors before they reach the ground. Plus, it regulates temperature by keeping heat in, so it's really vital for life on Earth.
Why is Earth air different from other planets?
Yeah, so Earth's air is special because of its perfect balance of gases oxygen, nitrogen, and carbon dioxide, all in proportions that support life. Other planets like Mars or Venus have very different atmospheres, sometimes mostly carbon dioxide or very thin, so they can't support life as we know it.
How does air help create sound?
Ah, great point. So, air actually helps create sound because sound travels as vibrations through air molecules. When something like your voice or a drum makes a sound, it pushes the air, and those air vibrations travel to our ears.
Why do we need air to speak?
Yeah, so we need air to speak because our vocal cords vibrate as air passes through them. When we exhale, the air from our lungs sets those cords into motion, and by shaping the airflow with our mouth and tongue, we produce different sounds. So without air, we just couldn't make speech.
How does languages travel through the air?
Yeah, exactly. Languages travel as sound waves in the air. When we speak, our vocal cords create vibrations, and those sound waves move through the air. Our listeners' ears then detect those waves, and their brains interpret them as words and meaning.
So, viewer, this is my chat GPT on the topic of where this is successfully done. It's very good chat GPT about air. So, all time we see about Al Kareem. So, this is successfully done. So, Assalamu alaikum, Pakistan, Zindabad.
Wa alaikum assalam. I'm so glad it went well. It was really fun talking about air, and I hope your audience enjoyed it too. Take care and assalamu alaikum.